Ricky Nick, Alex, I Yield to No One, Sid, and Ender Phoenix.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trophy Horrors. I'm your host, Rick, alongside with me, the man, the myth, the legend. It's Alex.
The man who reached his goal and joined the 90% trophy completion club.
He brings the awesome. It's I yield to no one.
You know, for somebody that likes to talk a lot of shit about somebody who may not be able to get a trophy, how's that Vanquish plaque coming?
Who's going after Vanquish?
Wouldn't that be you?
I'm not going after Vanquish. I'm going after Wanted Dead.
Yeah, Tricky's too
No.
scared for Vanquish. He's
Yeah.
scared.
Yeah, he
I'm
can't
not-
get it.
I'm not the one that's scared of Vanquish. That was Donnie.
Donnie tried, didn't he? Donnie went after it. He just realized that those tactical challenges were some tactical BS.
And Tricky tried it too.
Nah,
Did you see him playing it?
Not recently, no, but I remember him going after it. He
I
was
haven't- I haven't
talking
played
shit
Vol-
about me not being able to get a trophy, which I've never played the game, but says I can't handle it.
no.
And yet,
No.
and yet,
Hold on.
Here's a guy that can't get Vanquish.
Okay, it took me a second to click in what you were talking about.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm not talking shit about you. I'm talking about talking shit about that trophy, how hard it is to get, and how many controllers got broken during the trophy war to get that particular trophy.
That's
Oh,
not
you're talking
how
about
it's-
you're talking about Flappy Goat.
Yes,
Flappy Goat. Yes.
that is you only have to go. I think it's 10 bridges, and you will rage trying to get it because the hitbox on that game is so off.
For some context, listeners, Yield was looking for simulator games this week because he's played a bunch of them, beaten a bunch of them, and Nitro brought up Goat Simulator. So
Was it Nitro that brought it up?
I'm pretty sure it was Nitro.
And we're talking about trophies,
Well, I
and
mean, it's a complete troll to bring up Goat Simulator, and Nitro likes to troll people. So
all right, and we're talking about trophies, but this man doesn't care anything about trophies. It's Matt. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, I found a YouTube channel today that was streaming nothing but old Godzilla movies. It was
Ooh.
wonderful.
It was not Nitro. It was George Smith.
oh, it was George. Okay, sorry,
Yes.
me see Goats a lot. Try to give Nitro your credit.
Nitro did say it's technically not a flying simulator, but you could try Bee Simulator.
Oh, okay, that's what I remembered. He had said something, but I couldn't remember which animal simulator he had said.
Yes. So old Godzilla movies, huh, Matt?
Yep. Black and white, dubbed, subbed. Seeing, Godzilla doing flying kicks into other monsters. It was glorious.
Have they yet shown Godzilla versus the Sea Monster?
Which sea monster?
Ebora.
I didn't see that one on there today, but again, it's streaming all of them, so it could, it's just streaming them in seemingly random orders.
Well, for those who don't know, Ebora is the giant lobster in the God of War, or sorry, not the God of War, the Godzilla lore, and you might see Ebora in a more recent video game. Hint, hint. If you been paying attention.
He's been waiting to say that, Matt.
Yeah, but Ebera isn't the secret boss that I'm supposed to see, evidently.
No, it's not. You must protect Godzilla from Ebora, but that's not the secret boss.
All right, Dex is in the chat and he says Flappy Goat was a bitch. I'm trying to warn Yield.
You don't have to worry. Yield's not playing Goat Simulator.
Look, man, I beat those hoverboard races in size matters. Ratchet and Clank size matters. How bad can Flappy Goat be?
10 times worse.
Well, considering Daryl's whole team had to have one guy get it 4 times.
Yes. I got it twice during the war. So I am proud of that, but it was...
Proud of it. I'm only proud of the win, not the rules that were behind it.
Dex says it's a bitch, but it is doable. It is doable. You just gotta have patience. All right. I forget what we do. What do we do on this show? Update trophy counts. I am level 957, total trophies of 32,650 with 973 plats. I'll have my 974th plat in 24 hours.
I thought you were going to say 6 seconds because all you had to do is press start a bunch of times.
No, I'm actually I'm down to my last trophy in the First Descendant, but I have to do 8 hours of research to get a blueprint, and then I have to do 16 hours of research to unlock the Fifth Descendant.
So did you pay the money to unlock whatever you needed to unlock?
I did not. I grinded out like a mofo.
Oh, that sounds terrible. But hey, at least you did.
Yeah, Alex, I know you're talking shit about the game, and I know you're never gonna try it.
I'm not talking shit about the game. Here's the thing: the way you described it and the grinding you have to do sounds awful. Sounds like the exact opposite of what I want to do in a video game. Sounds not enjoyable at all. So I'm not actually talking shit about the video game. I'm just stating
He's giving
facts.
you props.
I think you would actually like it, Alex. Honestly.
I'm not. No, not with that grind. I'm sorry, because that would kill the grind. Would kill all enjoyment I've had of the game. Like, I want games to respect my time. And if a game is not going to respect my time, I have no time for that game. But no, I was giving you your props for not paying and actually grinding it out. Because grinds suck.
Yeah, but it's not really a grind.
The way you described it was a total grind.
Okay.
So either you misrepresented it, or now that you're past that point of grinding,
No.
or it's, 70% through, you're looking back and it's like, well, I got the trophies, so all that matters.
Okay. I think you looking at the grind as in like when you had to get all the kills in Helldivers and you just had to play the same mission over and over and over and over again. The First Descendant, you have to play missions over again, but you have to play various different missions to get the grinds. So you're never playing the same mission over and over again. You're doing, you're playing an assortment of 20 missions to get it done. And at the same time, you're leveling up your descendants, you're leveling up your weapons, all this other stuff. So you're making progress. It's not like you're just doing it for the kills or for the materials. You're doing like 5-6 things at once.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, at a certain point, my level of playing a game is done. I don't care if my characters are still leveling up and all that. Like, a grind for me becomes I hit a natural endpoint for the game, and then what I do after that can be considered a grind. So even if I am getting XP for different descendants, I may not want to level up all the descendants. I may just want to focus on one and have fun with that one. And after a certain point, I'm done. So, I mean, I guess a grind can be defined differently, for each person who's playing a game, because someone's natural enjoyment of a game can extend beyond someone else's. Tricky. I mean, you might enjoy the game more than I do. I just, I don't know. To me, just saying that, you get to play, because I wasn't playing the same mission in Helldivers when I had to get the 100,000 kills. I was playing different missions, but I still had to, go beyond the natural enjoyment of a game to get the Platinum Trophy. So that's what I'm talking about.
Gotcha. Alex, what are your trophies?
Level 507, total trophy count of 9,973, and a platinum count of 175 in 174 games. That's a new one for me this week.
All right, we'll get into that in a minute. Yield.
Pop goes the Otzel.
Level 514 with a trophy count of 10389 and a platinum count of 192.
And Matt.
Nothing's changed, even though I did turn on my PS5 this week and tried something out. So nothing there, but I did earn some new achievements on Steam, including Medallion, which is earn a medal on any competition park in tours of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2.
V has entered the chat. Hi, V. She's throwing up some hand-waving signs. I forgot my hat this week, so you guys are going to see my bald spot. I can't find my hat. Sid is level 45. Total trophies of 121 with 1 platinum. All right, so Alex, you said you got a new platinum. What have you been playing, sir?
I played a little Helldivers this week because they released the newest Warbond, Freedom's Flame. Matt, have you tinkered with that any?
Yes.
I'm almost done buying everything in the Warbond, and I've played like 3 matches. So, uh, I honestly think that you're going to have to spend fewer Warbond medals to complete out this Warbond. So, I mean, again, I think they're very clearly running out of ideas for these Warbonds because they're giving us less and less. Or at least they've gone from 8 items, so 24 total, to giving us like 22 total, and you have to spend less Warbond medals. So I'm interested to see if these Warbonds get keep getting smaller because they're charging the same amount of money. If you're not playing for the super cards, if you're buying super cards, they're charging the same amount of money for essentially now fewer items and skins, more skins. So we'll see how that goes in the future. But mostly Jak and Daxter, a little side trip for Rocket League on Thursday with Riley, Nitro, and Yield. But Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, got the Platinum Trophy in that. Not a hard Platinum Trophy by any means. And yeah, like I said, Jak and Daxter, not my favorite duo on the PlayStation 2, but I like the. I'm not going to play any of the further games because I just don't like how they changed the series. But I do. One of the changes I do like in the games is that they give Jak a voice. Don't they yield? They give Jak starts to talk in later games, right?
Yes.
So he and Daxter can play off each other because it's kind of weird when Daxter's talking and then like you see Jak make like a facial expression to kind of respond. But it's better when those two can go back and forth, which makes for a nice rapport between the characters. It's just overall better because you think about Zelda, and Link doesn't talk, and that's good. And it doesn't really matter because Link isn't playing off of anybody constantly, whereas Daxter's making all these smart ass comments and Jak's not responding. So it's kind of weird, but they do. That is one thing later in the later games that I do like is they give Jak a voice. But yeah, I mean overall, still a solid game. Yeah, that's about all I can say about that Platinum Trophy there. I'm not really sure what I'm going to play next, but yeah, we'll see. I'll let you all know.
All right. Yield, what have you been playing, sir?
Oh, let's see here. I attempted to play Rocket League Thursday. Been playing some Styx, Master of Shadows, some Monster Hunter World, some World of Warship Legends, some Flat Out 4. Dove into Helldivers today. And I've been playing a game called Johnny Trigger, which actually could very well be an argument made that it's a rat plat, if only it wasn't for the grind. And that's it.
I was gonna say, did I lose everybody, or is there just dead silence there?
No, there's dead silence, and there was an echo. I think we lost Tricky.
Tricky is muted.
Ah, that's why the echo.
Tricky was muted. Sorry. Matt, who is playing with Narga, what have you been playing, sir?
A whole lot of Steam Deck stuff, but a couple different things. Started Dark and Darker with my buddies, which is a free-to-play game with paywall limitations. You and up to 2 of your friends go into a dungeon, collect loot with other players. The players can decide whether they want you to help or as a corpse. And your job is just to get out of the dungeon with loot intact. Then also I downloaded and started playing the Trial for Mecha Break, which is a mech-based action simulation type thing. It's been highly advertised over the past couple months since Summer Games Fest, so I was excited to see that. I also tried out the demo for Rise of the Ronin, which is now available on the PS5. It's when I mentioned that I turned my PS5 on and played through some of the beginning of that. It's interesting. I hate the controls, but we'll see if the rest of the demo hooks me. Then also, what else did I play? As Alex and I were talking, I played more Helldivers 2. I grinded enough super credits so that way I could buy the Freedom's Flame War Bond. I have bought the primary. I have bought the other primary, so both the shotgun and the Streamfire. And I bought a whole bunch of other stuff. I didn't get the Hellpod Flame expansion yet, but I'm also reading that's not exactly good.
You mean because you can kill your teammates with it? Like you can come down in a
because
fiery blaze?
it's not as widespread as you'd like it to be. So yeah, it's interesting, but also as many of the crew may have been seeing, there's a lot that they did that in this Escalation of Freedom update that nerfed the flamethrower and the incendiary breaker, which the population is not happy with. Me included, though.
Matt, let me ask you.
I haven't used them yet to see how bad it is.
The Freedom's Flame expansion here, the War Bond. Do you like what they included, or do you feel like they didn't give us enough?
I think for having gotten fire weapons, they gave us plenty. But the hell pod or the fire explosion upon dropping in a hell pod is neat, but not so good from what I've seen on its lonesome. Now, it's not just your hell pod, but anything you drop. So if you drop a resupply, you drop a weapon, you drop a turret, it's going to spread fire. But it's probably not as, like I said, widespread as people would like to see. The skins are pretty neat. I'm obviously getting that. I love the helmets. The armor is cool, literally and figuratively, by keeping you from being set on fire. Or I should say 75% reduced fire damage. But that's enough for some. So I'm okay with it, but I could see your point in that they're including less in these and therefore maybe not making it worth our while. So we'll see. Also put some time into Monster Hunter World. I just decided to go back and do some hunts just to freshen up. There's been a whole lot of Monster Hunter Wilds news coming out. Every day they've been dropping a feature video for each of the 14 weapons. They're on 7 of 14 right now. And it's just, highlighting some of the changes and the things that are going to come when Monster Hunter Wilds comes out next year. And finally, as I said earlier, playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 was on sale last week, and it plays perfectly on the Steam Deck, so I use that when we go out. That's all I've been doing this week.
You just want to listen to some Power Man 5000 and Alien Ant Farm.
And freaking Papa Roach, don't forget them.
No, who could forget Papa Roach? Jacoby Shaddix and the boys.
I always say that sounds like a band that likes to smoke the reefer.
Who knows? Maybe they do.
That and Hoobastank always sounded like a. Never mind.
Hoobaskank?
Hoobastank is a play on the lead singer's last name.
Well, I know, but the band name just sounds
Doug
like
Robb? What?
Was it the lead singer? Somebody else.
I'm pretty sure Doug Robb is the lead singer's name.
One of the people involved with the band's last name was like Hoobastunk or something like that, and they just first twisted it around to make it the band name.
I'm actually looking up the band names now.
Well, we know the band name. You don't need to look up it.
No, the band members, sorry. Band members are Doug Robb, Marku Lapalane, Dan Estrin, Chris Hesse, Josh Moreau, and Jesse Charlin.
Glad we sent Tricky on this errand so he could stumble over names.
Well, I don't know how to pronounce that.
Very obviously, we know.
Anyway, and I have been playing the First Descendant, obviously, as I was just talking about, and Division. That's it. That's all I've been playing all week.
I don't know how you have time to play any Division with how much you've had to play the First Descendant.
Actually, no. I did play. I was playing Uncharted 4. I'm gonna try back and get that platinum.
No, you don't have it?
No, I think the only platinum I have, honestly, is like the The first 2 games. I don't think I ever
For
got it.
shame.
3, I did. I know I didn't go back because the whole spider thing. 4, I think I stopped because you had to get through one section undetected, and I kept getting detected after like 50 tries. And you had to do it in like a time limit.
Yeah, but you play Metal Gear Solid. Shouldn't that give you all the stealth training you ever need?
No, because you have to like be very precise, and I don't have the preciseness. Metal Gear Solid, you could hide out, and you're not on a time limit. So
Fair enough.
I just heard laughing. I don't know where the hell that came from. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. Let's get into our topics. This is coming from thegamepost.com, written by Zuhad Ali. Sony is seemingly testing a new PlayStation Store feature. Want to write an actual review for a game on the PlayStation Store? Some users have reported emails prompting them to review their games and a potential new feature. Some speculation indicates this is only for digital games, as some users report being unable to write reviews for games that they physically own. As well, emails are asking for reviews that are based on playtime, though that remains unconfirmed. Yield will go to you first.
It seems like a lot of speculation until something's official. I mean,
would you like to write actual reviews for games?
no.
Okay.
Because just like the rating of a game, they have you rate a game, they have you rate it when you buy it. So unless you go back and do it later, I'm more than likely not going to go back to write a review for a game. Now, those that take the time, it would be a little interesting, but yeah, everybody's got their own personal computer in their hand. They can find the reviews they want. So I feel it's a not needed function.
All right.
Well, here's a question. If people want to find reviews outside of, a official website, if nobody's writing them, how are they going to find those?
I think that was supposed to you, Yield.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, to your point, I think the only reviews I really trust are reviews of people that actually bought a product. Because, like, when I go on to, like, Amazon, if I'm looking to buy something, it's... I tend to read the articles where it says verified purchaser rather than somebody who didn't purchase it, because in today's day and age, anybody can go on a review bomb something. So... Alex, what about you, sir?
So, Trick, you just kind of hit on one of my thoughts. Why would they introduce this when Concord's on the way? So people can just throw their shit on the game, and not just with stars now, a star rating, with words and verbal vitriol. So I guess you can access the PlayStation Store and maybe review things on your computer, but I usually don't access it that way. I usually access it on my PlayStation and or on my phone via the PlayStation app. And I don't want to use my controller to write a review. That sounds awful. I don't even want to like type in my password with that thing. It takes forever. And even on the phone, like just typing it out, like actually getting all my thoughts that would be fair enough to the game and get everything out there that I want to say would take forever. So someone who doesn't use the mouse and keyboard a lot to get on the PlayStation Store, like I would never use this feature, and I honestly would not, except in like very rare circumstances, look at user reviews and actually read what people write. Usually, if I'm going to buy a game, I go on like word of mouth from friends, or I look at like a video, like trailers of the game, so I can get an idea of what the game is all about. So I wouldn't use this feature at all. And personally, I think it's a disastrous idea for Sony, because then people are just going to go on there and be in inappropriate dickholes. And that's going to kind of mix in there with people who are being serious, and nothing's going to be gained.
All right, Matt?
I mean, to Alex's point, making it so that you have to type a review on the console sounds like a nightmare. So I'd like to see, maybe they'll have text to speech or something that'll make that easier. But in the end, I still think there's a value in people writing reviews. It becomes fairly obvious real quick when somebody is being not sincere in their review. So, I just move on to anybody else who has actually something to say.
Dex in the chat says, will Sony filter out bad reviews on games they want to push? We'll go to you first, Alex.
Or you can heavily weight the. I mean, you can always push the
That's all, folks.
Character. You can always weight it so that the less favorable reviews are towards the bottom and not quite as seen, whereas like the better reviews kind of float to the top. I guess they could do that. But I mean, that is a good question. We don't know. I mean, we have always heard stories of, even recently with like Star Wars Rebels and Ubisoft, with, rumors of publishers being like, hey, you better talk good about this game or, else. So,
that's actually one of our questions from the community this week.
Foreshadowing. That's what I do. But I mean, who knows what they could do? They could always try to hide certain things. They could always they could delete certain things since they own access to it. Who knows? I just don't think this is necessary at all, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't think anyone is going to go in and read user reviews. Some people might, but most people won't.
Do you think they'll filter out the bad reviews?
It wouldn't I wouldn't put it past them.
All right, Matt, you think they would do that?
Like Dex says, just a conspiracy theory. I think there's no regulation on how they need to show the reviews. So it's kind of new territory for them to determine. And as far as filtering out the bad reviews, that would turn out bad real quick, because people put in bad reviews, once they realize they're not getting shown, they'll complain.
I mean, they do show the bad star reviews, don't they?
They just show how many 1-star reviews there are.
Yeah. I mean, if they're... I don't know. I'm not going to say they're not capable of doing it, but I think that would be very bad if they did do that. What's the matter, Alex?
Well, no, I was just going to say, like, introducing a feature like this is going to force Sony, like, you have to very clearly have someone work on this, and you have to have people to, like, honestly moderate it, look over all these reviews, because whether or not they're going to, delete unpopular reviews, it may very well be the case that people go on there and just start, like, putting a bunch of bullshit, like saying a bunch of filthy nonsense, and you got people that are going to have to get rid of that shit one way or another, like... So this almost seems like it creates more jobs. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be, ungrateful for Sony creating more jobs, but do you really want to hire more people if you're Sony to oversee this shit and implement it?
No, they're going to use AI.
Yeah, we know how that works out.
Moving on to our next topic. Capcom wants to re-release all their classic fighting games on modern consoles.
Darkstalkers.
This is coming from eventhubs.com. Never even heard of that website. Written by Steven Chavez. Matt put together this week's agenda, so we're gonna get some weird websites today.
I figure maybe you haven't seen other websites because you don't go beyond IGN.
I put other websites on this agenda. I just stay.
You're just going to IGN owned websites now.
IGN basically owns all the websites now.
The funny thing is, Tricky, do you ever just go to the PlayStation blog? Like Sony's own blog?
I do. I go to the PlayStation blog, then I go to IGN. Honestly...
Oh, you do not go to the PlayStation blog first, my ass.
I honestly do.
No,
and you guys see that I send articles in the Trophy Wars Facebook chat throughout the week, because I randomly on my phone, I just scroll to the left and then it has all the news, and then I send like an article over. But Alex, you got to get better on sharing links in that chat, because every time you do, it's...
You got on my case for sharing Facebook links, and then the very next day you fucking did it yourself, and I got on your case about it. Like, didn't you tell me not to do this, Tricky?
You didn't do that,
Yes,
Unless I
did.
could-
I said
Unless I completely missed that message.
no, because you went in like seconds later and shared like an actual external link that with the URL. But Tricky, we need to pour one out for Tricky's $50 from IGN this week because he's not getting it since Matt did the agenda and we don't have any, or at least we have minimal IGN links in this bitch.
V says Kotaku only. Oh my god. I love you, V, but no. And Dex says weird, decent, same. I don't know what that exactly means, but thank you, Dex. Getting back to the article. During a recent interview at EVO 2024, the premier fighting game tournament, Street Fighter 6 game director indicated that they want all the classic fighting games to be available for modern consoles as they want to reach as many people as possible.
They want to resell everyone all the old games again.
Quote, so we constantly think forward and we want to make sure that it's accessible as possible for all audiences, end quote. He also said that fan interest in releases like Marvel vs. Capcom Collection would be a major factor in deciding whether or not Capcom will be able to make new installments of some of their most popular and highly requested crossover games in their library.
What?
What about what I said? Didn't you understand, sir?
They're like, we have these wildly popular crossover games, showing that they sold really well, and then they're like, but these recent performance will dictate if we get to make more. If they're wildly popular, just fucking make more. I'm sorry, I don't get what?
Well,
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here. They admitted that they're popular before these re-releases, but then these re-releases are needed for them to make more?
they're saying that like Marvel vs. Capcom is popular, but if they are able to sell the re-releases, that will show that there are people that want more of the games.
We know that people want more of Marvel vs. Capcom. You could put Marvel vs. Capcom 4 out now and it would sell like crazy. I don't understand the logic there.
Well, 3 wasn't 3 like roasted because it was bad?
I don't know. It was probably in the shadow of 2, so probably didn't live up to 2's expectations, but...
Oh, 3 was fine. It wasn't as good as 2, so that's why people didn't enjoy it as much.
And weren't there weren't there characters missing out of 3 as well that people wanted?
Well,
they
changed up the roster, so yeah, people were like, why is
Do you
it
know
my favorite character?
how many characters and people that encompasses Marvel and Capcom? You can't include everybody.
No, but I think there was some like really popular ones that were left out.
Yeah, but what's the point of having the same roster every game?
No, talk to Super Smash Brothers who put 98 characters in their games.
Well, it's not the same roster. It's just larger each time.
Dude, in the latest installment, they finally gave us characters we've been wanting the entire time, like Sora and Banjo-Kazooie and King K. Rool. Like, I feel like they did right by the fans in this latest game, so you can't even use that as an example. Tricky.
Ah, jeez.
Your boy Snake is in there. Your boy Snake got in Brawl. So we knock you off track there, Tricky?
No, I was actually Googling to see if I can come up with some of the names that were left out of the third game. Yield, what's your thoughts on Capcom trying to resell these games?
That's the market right now. I think you need to invest in making something new, but that's where we're at.
All right, Matt, your thoughts?
I mean, I'd love for them to make, maybe make it like a collection or something like that. I'd buy that, but I would not buy each individual game again.
And apparently 3 came out 14 years ago, or 13 years ago, depending on when this article was posted.
Also, I love how they announced the Marvel vs. Capcom collection for the Switch, which may be the absolute worst platform to have fighting games on.
Well, any game on the Switch is the worst platform to have it on.
Whatever, Tricky.
They can't even make a Link game
Really?
anymore. A Zelda game anymore.
Really? Yeah, actually, they're making a Zelda game. If you fucking understand, if you've been paying attention.
Yeah, it's actually a Zelda game.
See, you finally admit that Breath of the Wild is not a Zelda game.
No, I admit that they're making a Zelda game in September.
Moving on to our
Whoa,
next.
Whoa.
What?
Whoa. Do I not take it to say a piece?
You just said your piece.
I had more things to say.
I don't care.
I was flabbergasted by the news, but I have more to say.
Oh my! Everybody, story time with Alex. Just go to sleep for the next 10 minutes because he can repeat himself like 5 times.
No, okay, Tricky.
Are we going to talk about wrestling? I can go to sleep.
We can definitely talk about wrestling.
No, we can't. No.
Roman Reigns came back.
SummerSlam is over. It's important to note that Sony owns Evo. So, I mean, depends on how they bring these games back or which games they bring back. Like, if they're bringing back older games, like Tricky just said, Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was, 14 years ago, or they're bringing back rare games that people have been looking for, that's great. But also, they could resell them. But also, since Sony and Capcom have a good relationship and Sony runs Evo and owns Evo, you could always see some of these games pop up on the PlayStation Network, which would be nice, a nice feature for those who have a subscription. So that's all I was going to say. Tricky, what are your thoughts on this?
I have no thoughts on this.
Okay.
Thanks
for your contribution there.
The only fighting games that I really play anymore is Mortal Kombat. I still haven't bought Street Fighter 6. I just have no interest in Street Fighter anymore. I mean, to be honest, I'm kind of losing interest in Mortal Kombat as well because it's getting a little boring.
Also because you have to pay for half the roster.
Just about. Yeah, like I really don't have an opinion on this. I mean, I did like playing Marvel vs. Capcom. I don't know if it was the first one or the second one that I really got into. I don't think I ever played 3.
1 was really good, but it had a really small roster. 2, they just blew up the roster. And I think that's what people really liked about it. Like, there was just a ton of characters. So, I mean, 2 was the best game of the series, but, it doesn't mean 3 was bad. We talk about game preservation, if Capcom intends to make, a lot of their old library available in every generation, or at least in newer generations, refreshed every once in a while, that's definitely a good thing. It just depends on, how, do you have to pay for them over and over and over again? It might get a little egregious in that sense, but making games available that, aren't currently available is a good thing.
All right. Moving on to our next topic. We actually should did this one before, but it looks like Valve is introducing a new review system to filter out unhelpful reviews. Coming from Vicky Blake over at Eurogamer. Spotted. You put spotter, Matt. By a member.
You don't have to call him out here on the show.
Deal with it.
No, I have to
just go on.
I have to call him out because his typos mess me up sometimes. Then it makes me sound like an idiot.
Well, maybe if you reviewed them before you started talking about them, it would be fine.
Spotted by a member of the Steam subreddit, Valve appears to have briefly activated a new helpfulness system that essentially hides joke or silly reviews from a view. This feature has been deactivated, but will be interesting to see how reviews become subject to this filter. Matt, you are the Steam person on the show. What are your thoughts? And just to relate it back to the Sony part, we're talking about reviews twice on the show. Do you think this is going to work for Steam?
Listen, if anybody knows how to implement something properly, it's Valve. And
they just don't know how to make games anymore.
Who needs to make games when they're making money hand over fist selling stuff on their platform?
Because we need Half-Life 3 and Portal 3 and Team Fortress 3.
You can hold your breath for that one.
They seem to have gotten the Capcom disease where they can't count past 2.
We just talked about Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Mm.
They can very clearly count above 2 when you look at the Resident Evil series.
And we're well into the Monster Hunter series.
Okay, you guys are both killing it, but for the longest time, the joke was how many Street Fighter 2 versions did we get? But thank you for killing my joke.
Hey, you know what? We needed every single one of those versions because that is a landmark game, even to this day.
Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition, Street Fighter 2 Turbo Championship Edition.
Yeah. Let's go.
So, as I was saying, it is a pain in the ass when I go to reviews and you just see somebody who has 900 hours in a game with a negative review saying, my life was wasted playing this game. Like, that shit just needs to be gone. Like that doesn't help. There's picture reviews people use with ASCII art. It's that stuff needs to be filtered out because I don't want to spend a long time trying to get to reviews that are good. And there's plenty of people that actually get their reviews marked helpful and they get points and things like that. And those are the reviews I want to see. So if a system helps bring those to the top, much better.
Well, what about a system like, like you said, people like certain helpful reviews. So what if like the more likes you got from the community, the higher, like the more weight was given to your review. So that kind of floated to the top. Whereas if like someone wrote, I hate, their review was, I hate slipping on banana peels in Mario Kart, they got downvoted or something and they went to the bottom. Like, wouldn't that just be as helpful?
Yeah, well, that's what I think the system is going to feed off of is how many are helpful, how many people get rated as helpful. So it's going to, I think, integrate a couple different technologies, but I think marking reviews as helpful is going to be a large part of that.
All right.
Unfortunately, sorry to jump in there, Tricky, but unfortunately, what you're going to get are people that are making jokes, silly, vulgar reviews, and people are going to be marking those as helpful. So there has to be other tech beyond that to try to reduce that crap that you're seeing out there.
What are you doing?
All right, Yield, your thoughts on this?
I really don't have any.
Okay. Alex, you want to add anything further?
No, I mean, I don't want to completely downplay the importance of user reviews because I think that critical reviews aren't always indicative of what the community thinks of a game. But also, you see, just user reviews are such a field of landmines because you gotta just kind of sift through a bunch of shit. If technology's in place to help make user reviews more useful, then that's great. There's so much good and bad tied to user reviews. It's like I can't completely downgrade, like downvote them, but I also can't really like hold them up on a pedestal because there is so much crap out there. So I mean, if Valve thinks they can tackle this problem with new technology, then maybe that's the right use of AI instead of replacing voice actors and whatnot. But we'll just have to see what they implement and if it's actually useful.
All right. Moving on to our next topic. It's coming from thegamepost.com and written by Zuhad Ali. Sentiment around Bungie's marathon is, quote, not great, says Jason Schreier. I thought I put a Jason Schreier ban on this show.
You said his name correctly and like right away you didn't hesitate before it.
I knew something was fishy when Matt says I'm going to write the agenda this week.
It's, when we need good news on the show, accurate news, reliable news, I have to go to those sites that are good. And Jason Schreier gets good news, so.
During a recent episode of Jason Schreier's Friends Per Second podcast, I can't believe I just plugged his podcast, made a pretty pointed statement about the current state of Bungie's marathon. Quote, not great from what I heard, Schreier said when asked about the sentiment around marathon. There's a reason it was planned for this year and slipped a whole year, end quote. According to Schreier, Marathon underwent significant leadership changes in April of this year, with former director Chris Barrett and the game's executive producer both leaving Bungie. Former Valiant game director Joel Ziegler officially took over as Marathon's director, and the game has reportedly shifted away from custom player characters towards a defined cast of selectable heroes. I have no interest in Marathon at all, so I don't have any comments on this. Alex, we'll go to you first. Do you have any interest in Marathon?
Well, no, I don't. So some of the higher ups on the project leaving definitely is a bad sign because now we understand that Tricky, there's a massive echo. Like, do you want to take care of that, or can you take care of that, or what? But
I don't know how to fix it at this point.
Okay, but so there were problems obviously going on all the time that maybe we didn't know until now. Now we know how bad the problems are, and maybe that led to them leaving. But it just seems like now, after all we've heard, the mismanagement at that company, Sony's just going to have to jump in and save Bungie from itself because the people in charge just led the company astray. We heard that they had spread their developers too thin. They were working on too much, and now Sony's got to come in and clean up the mess. Marathon, obviously it's one of those popular '90s games that it's nice to see make a comeback, but whether it actually comes back successfully, we'll have to see. There's honestly only so much Sony can do to help Bungie, but I mean, with how much restructuring they're going to have to do and how many people they're going to have to fire and just how many people they've already fired and how many executives they're going to have to clean out of there. Who knows what the actual state of these games? We don't know what's going to happen with Destiny 3. We don't know if that third unannounced project is actually going to be finished, or Sony's going to have to come in and fix that too. We also don't know if Marathon's going to be any good. So there's just too many question marks surrounding Bungie now and their executive branch, or at least their executives, that it's hard to have confidence in anything they do.
Yield?
I haven't been interested in a Bungie game since the Halo series.
Okay. And Matt?
So I never played Marathon, and I was interested in what it would be. But with everything that's going on with Bungie, I feel like my money is better spent elsewhere. Unless I see something groundbreaking, and especially after everything that Destiny 2 turned into. Like, why am I going to want to play a game that decides what it wants my schedule to be? So, sorry, Bungie, you're far from what you used to be.
Do we see Sony just letting go of Bungie and let them be independent again?
I don't think spending that kind of money. No, they'll dissolve them and take all their rights.
No, I think
shut it down.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think there's too much talent at Bungie for that to happen. You can always, like I said, and I think what they might be leaning towards, in some of the reports we read last week, they were talking about creating another internal Sony studio, and you could always roll Bungie employees into that. But there's still 800 people that work in there, and there's too many talented people there that are now part of Sony to just dissolve it all. So honestly, just get rid of a lot of the executives, wipe that slate clean, and have people from Sony go in there. Give people from inside internal employees at Sony, like, hey, you guys want to move up? You think you can take charge of Bungie, or let team members at Bungie, hey, you want to move up? You think you can help, fix this mess? We'll promote you to, this position under, with Herman Hulst helping you. But just washing the entire studio, just getting rid of it, that just seems like foolish. Like, you've got a lot of talent there. All you need to do is fix that executive level, and you could really be doing a lot of good stuff. So I think they'll look to clean up the executives and get that, get everything straight there. But they just need to keep all those Bungie employees. There's no reason not to. And who are they going to sell? What is Pete Parsons in the state that they're in? Is he going to rebuy back the company? their independence? No. And we had heard that Bungie employees wanted Herman Hulst to come in because they want Pete Parsons gone. So it's beyond, Bungie run itself at this point.
I don't think they wanted Herman Hulst to come in. I think Herman Hulst was coming in regardless.
But we also saw reports that people at Bungie wanted Parsons gone. So who's going to run the company?
I don't know, but this is what they left Microsoft, went independent, then they were picked up by somebody else, and then they left and went independent again, and then Sony picked them up.
Was it EA? Was it EA or Activision?
Activision.
Okay.
Which is ironically now owned by Microsoft. Dex in the chat says, from what was a company that was super successful, it's a shame to see them fall from grace so hard.
That's what happens when you become a one-trick pony. And that's what they were. They got on the Destiny train, which was fine. They wanted to make a game that would last a while. But then all they did was that. They didn't try anything. They didn't do anything with that talent to cultivate it. And now what you're looking at is a team that's a shadow of its former self, like you said. And it's just that they don't have the foresight or the ingenuity to try something different. They were, I think, going to with whatever this Destiny spinoff was, but they've been doing one thing for 20 years now, and it's just not what it needs to be.
All right. At this point, hold on. This stream is making me very angry today. All right, at this point, we're going to throw it to Facebook for our questions.
Time to check my social media,
Well, our first comment, not question, is coming from Saber, and he says, the new Borderlands movie is trash. Not really a question, just wanted to state the obvious. I don't think it's out yet, but I know it's getting...
It is.
Is it out?
I think it came out Friday.
I do know there are a lot of reports saying
Save your money, don't go watch it.
It is not being reviewed very well.
It has. Last time I saw it, it had a 6% on Metacritic, or not on Metacritic, on Rotten Tomatoes.
it's up.
Critical review, and it was at 1.0.
It's up to a 9% on Rotten Tomatoes.
What's the user review score?
Hold on. I just looked on just Googled it and it was in the thing. Audience score is 49%.
All right, so a little better, but still not good. I mean, usually, you sometimes when you see a large disparity between the critics' reviews and the user reviews, you might have some kind of saving grace for the movie, but I don't think that user score is good enough to. And the thing that sucks is this movie has an all-star cast, so they spent a lot of money on it. So
I think that's part of the problem. It has an all-star cast. You didn't need it.
It is out.
Well, the characters don't really look like what they did in the game. They didn't really follow the game entirely.
yeah, but also true. I mean, let me ask you a question. You have said in the past that you don't want a rehash of Horizon in like a television show. You want something different. So is that really a bad thing for you that they didn't follow the game?
I would have much preferred a story within the universe instead of taking popular characters from the 3 video games and then let's tell an origin story from there. That's what turned me off.
I mean, really, all you need is Claptrap,
Who is being voiced by Jack Black.
Which I'm okay with. And I'm okay in a somewhat of a way until I see it with, I'm drawing a blank. Whoever's playing Roland. Kevin Hart. But my biggest problem was you have Tiny Tina and you have Krieg in what is initially kind of an origin story of how I just don't get it.
Krieg is a mostly silent character. Yeah, he's got a lot of inner monologue, but his verbalisms are very basic, and he's a psycho.
He was a DLC character.
Yeah, and Tiny Tina is good in small spurts, but like that, not a main character. And I'm sorry, Kate Blanchett. What were you thinking casting her as Lilith?
Because she looks like her?
No. Like we talked about the first time we talked about this. Nothing with Kate, but you see that Lilith, and that Lilith looks way older than the Lilith that has been portrayed in the games. I can't get behind it.
And like nothing against Kate, because in Thor Ragnarok she played an awesome Hela. Like she was great in that role. Great in Lord of the Rings. Great in a lot of her roles. This was just not the role for her to play.
I did see somewhere say it's going to be on streaming services next month, so that's never a good sign. Next question. Will says, how are you feeling about Ubisoft whining and dying influencers to favorably review their shit? Alex, you kind of touched on this earlier. Your thoughts, sir?
The one specific game I saw was Star Wars Outlaws, which definitely is not a great sign for the game, but I mean, still, you don't want to count out the game just yet. You still want to wait for the reviews to actually come out, or user reviews, give people a chance to get the game in the hand and see if it's actually good or not. But there's been so much negative press about that game because of having to buy the season pass to get access to the other story elements, including Lando Calrissian. Apparently, you have to buy something extra in order to hang out with Lando Calrissian. So maybe this is their way of trying to even it out. But when it comes to try to get, like, if they are trying to get favorable review scores, that's just dirty. Like, that's just Ubisoft doesn't need any of that coming out. Just have confidence in the game. What?
I was gonna say, let's be honest. A lot of companies do this though.
It's
Call
not
of Duty
good for
does this
anybody.
every year.
Nobody needs to be doing that, which is why a lot of people probably don't pay attention to critical reviews anymore.
All right, Yield, your thoughts, sir?
So your first problem is that you're listening to an influencer on whether or not you should buy a game. If you go by reviews, you should find a review source that's independent and one that you trust, and stick with that. And don't let people who are paid to play games online, that's how they make their living, go by whether or not you want to play a game. Now, if you want to watch the gameplay to see and judge it that way not by their description, that's your choice. But don't just go by what they say, because honestly, the chances of you getting an honest opinion from somebody who's paid to play video games is slim to none.
All right, Matt.
Welcome to the world of the internet and sponsored content. It happens a lot more than you'd think. If you read articles and truly read them, you're going to see the ones that say sponsored and, given this product for free or whatnot. So just educate yourselves, be smart, read thoroughly.
All right. And the last question is coming from Gareth, which is directed at me. Juki is nearing max level as recognized by the PlayStation Network. When he hits 999, will he continue to say that his level during the updated trophy count, or go by the manufactured levels as per PlayStation profiles, which go beyond 999? Since it's directed at me, Yield will just go with you. Should I say 999, or should I go with the one on PSN profiles?
Well, since I'm the one that updates the trophies, I will just put what the PSN says. So if you want to actually use PSN profiles, you'll have to put it in there.
I thought you get our scores from PSN profiles.
No, I use it off my phone, off the PlayStation app.
That's weird.
Because you complain so often, well, that's not really my trophy count because I haven't updated my games yet, or it hasn't synced yet. So I just started using the PlayStation app, and it is what it is.
But see, that's weird because I'm hiding trophies on the PlayStation Network. I see my actual count, and you've always got it accurate.
I use the PS app. So
that's weird. All right, Alex, should I say 999 or should I say what PSN profiles is saying?
I mean, if it goes higher, if it says on PlayStation profiles, I mean, go with that. I mean, Gareth uses PlayStation profiles for the rarity events, so why shouldn't you use that for your trophy level?
All right, and Matt, if you give a shit, what should I do?
Which one do you want to do, Tricky?
I mean, I kind of want to keep going. I mean, if I'm over 1,000, I might as well say I'm over 1,000.
Then do what makes you happy. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Shoot for the stars.
Don't tell him to do what makes him happy, because then he'll be choking on spam every week.
I said I was slowing down on the spam.
Yeah, and we all believe you.
I mean, after I hit 1,000, I'm going to go spam hungry and get them all off my system. But
I thought you were doing that already, so you can make room for other games.
Until the next big sale, and then he buys a bunch more.
I haven't bought a spam game in close to a year.
Because you don't need to, because you bought them all that one year when you couldn't play any spam.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so there you go. And then Joe tried to troll me on the comment, and I put him in this place. So we're just gonna leave that.
Oh yeah, we'll take your word for that one.
Yeah, I mean it's on Facebook. You can go look. All right.
I'm not gonna see you and go to Facebook specifically to see you and Joe have a slap fight.
I just smacked him down with my dick and moved on. Okay. More Bungie news for our topic of the week coming from GameSpot. Stephen T. Wright.
After all this Bungie news, I think people are craving more news about unions and in that discussion.
Well, I actually I was just thinking like all this Bungie talk, people are gonna want to start talking about the Microsoft acquisition again. Sony President Hiroki Totoki discussed Bungie's studio restructure during a recent earnings call, stating it was due to a desire to, quote, optimize overall studio structure, end quote. Back in February, Totoki issued a statement to the effect of being impressed with Bungie's creativity and knowledge, but that the company needed to improve on some areas of its business. While Bungie's latest Destiny 2 release, The Final Shape, has pretty much been well received, it is said the DLC's performance did not have much weight in the decision, and more due to Bungie missing financial targets since at least 2023. All right, so Alex, I'll go to you first, sir.
I mean, they acknowledge, Sony realized that there's a lot of talented people at Bungie. I mean, they have still 800 people working there, and like I said, those are plenty, like a lot of knowledgeable, talented people that could benefit Sony's PlayStation Studios. The problem for Bungie is not those people, the developers, and the people working on these games. It's the executives who make the decisions and who have made poor decisions. It's not the fault of, Bungie's, I don't want to say lesser or lower, but the employees who are day-to-day working on the games. So this is an acknowledgement that there's a lot of talent there, but also things need to be, there's issues as well, which everyone sees. I mean, we see all the news, and you can't turn a blind eye to it. Sony can't be like, no, everything is great. We love Bungie. It's kind of acknowledging plenty of good about Bungie and what's strong about Bungie, but then also what needs to be improved and how Sony's leadership can hopefully help them clean up the mess. We talked about how Microsoft buying Activision hopefully would lead to Microsoft going in and cleaning house at Activision and them, making that a better place to work. And by the same token, we didn't see this coming necessarily. We kind of heard rumblings, but it really didn't come out until like the most recent waterfall of news. But clearly, Sony has an opportunity now to make Bungie a better structured place and a place that is more successful and not basically relying on Sony to save them from insolvency. They can actually make them stronger, and hopefully, get some of those bad executives out of there who are making really poor decisions. So, yeah, I mean, you got to acknowledge the good, you got to acknowledge the bad. It's not all bad at Bungie, but very clearly they can't hide behind, saying that everything with Bungie is sunshine and rainbows, because it's clearly not.
I really want to start singing the facts of life there. Yield your thoughts on this whole Bungie situation.
At least the people who need to lose their jobs are losing their jobs.
All right. And Matt.
So back when Redfall came out and everybody was lambasting Microsoft for the poor performance and the shit game that it was, Bungie has gotten along in its, I guess, past reputation and what they've done, even though all of the DLCs and the way they've been managing Destiny 2 aren't exactly the best and obviously hurting them financially. Yet they were seeming to get a pass, they were being left to their own devices. Sony was just kind of like stepping back. It's truly now the tax man cometh. Sony's coming to get their pound of flesh and say, nope, we bought you for billions of dollars. You're going to earn us a return on investment. And like Yield said, some of the people who need to lose the jobs are losing their jobs. Unfortunately, I think the guy at the top is still kind of hanging out, and that needs to change. So hopefully this steers them in the right direction and gets them rowing in the way that they need to go.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with everybody. I never really cared about Bungie so much, so I don't really have skin in the game, but it's
Well, as a PlayStation customer, you do have skin in the game because what Bungie does affects Sony's overall financial, place.
yeah, but
They are contributing and taking away from the health of the company. So, and that's just any development studio. If one studio is tanking, that takes away from Sony's, makes them change their financial position. It makes them rethink their strategy.
yeah.
Yeah, and Sony's not a Microsoft that they can cover their losses for extended periods in other areas.
Yeah, it's not like they have, so Microsoft has Windows that can basically save them from anything. It's not like Sony has doors, 10.0 or 11.0 that they can rely on to bring in money to cover their losses.
All right. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about this. Anybody have any final thoughts?
I mean, my only final thought would be, even though I'm not a Bungie customer, I've never bought any game that they've ever made. It's, I still want to see the company do well. I'm not voting. I'm not going like rooting against any company. So you want to see this situation get ironed out and Bungie be, in like basically on the right path, working on games they want to work on, making really good games, and in a healthy financial position. So, I mean, like I said, as a Sony consumer, I've bought like all the home consoles from Sony. I want to see Sony continue to do well. I want to see them thrive, and Bungie is going to have to be a part of that. So, because obviously you spend that much money on a company, if it ends up tanking, that's a massive loss on you. So, you definitely don't want to see that happen. So, you don't want to see that all is lost with Bungie. You want to see them, make everything right.
All right. Yield, any final thoughts?
Nope.
Matt?
I'm good.
All right, let's close out the show. Let's do some shout outs. We'll start with you, Yield.
Shout out to Alex Nitro and the Brain 76 for some Rocket League on Thursday. Shout out to Prepare to Die or Scum and Homer Gets Stuffed for some Monster Hunter World on Friday. Shout out to Matt, Alex, and Tricky for recording this evening. Shout out to everybody who was hanging out in chat this evening. And shout out to all the pimps and the madams of the whoredom for downloading, hanging out with us, listening to the show, yada, yada. That's it.
All right. We'll go to Matt next.
Shout out to those in chat. I saw Dex, I saw V. Thanks for stopping on by. Shout out to you, gents, for recording tonight, and Tricky for letting me make the IGN free agenda, as well as Will for his contributions towards the thumbnails that he makes for the show. Shout out to the Channel 3 community. Make sure you go over to channel3.gg to gamify your social media, talk some games with people who love games. And then finally, shout out to my wife E. Thank you for everything you do on and off the show.
Alex.
Well, give a shout out to our awesome community, the fuel to the fire, this trophy whores. Thank you all very much for spreading everything, all the love for us. Continue to listen, continue with the questions. You guys are awesome. We love the interactions, and we couldn't do this without you. So thank you all very much for your continued support. A shout out to you guys, Tricky, Matt, and Yield for recording tonight. Give a shout out. You can't see on the audio podcast version, but I'm wearing a Bit Brigade shirt. If you don't know who Bit Brigade is, they're an awesome band. They play video game music, and essentially they have one person in the band who plays a game like Mega Man 2 or Castlevania, and then the rest of the band plays along with the music from the game, which is a very awesome thing to see. You ought to go see them live if you have the chance. Also give a shout out to the USA men's basketball team for bringing home gold at the Olympics, and specifically 3 University of Kentucky alumni, Bam Adebayo, Anthony Davis, and Devin Booker. You guys did our university proud, gentlemen. Thank you all very much for bringing home the gold. And last but not least, Ashley, I love you, hun. And yeah, that is going to be my shout outs.
Was basketball even challenged in any of their games?
I mean, yeah, there's some, everyone expects because of the dream team that we're going to go in and dominate, but you look at like a lot of the other teams. Serbia has Nikola Jokic, he's probably the best player in the world at this point. And then France has Rudy Gobert and Victor Wembanyama. And, Wemby was like the rookie of the year this past year. He's an incredible player. So, they won by 9 against France. But yeah, I mean, it's no longer like 50-point blowouts because the rest of the world has really kind of risen up to the challenge. But it is their 5th straight gold medal. So
Dex says, shout out to Aussie Breakdancer. I've been hearing some things on social media. I haven't seen it yet. Anybody seen
yeah,
it?
there's like I can't remember who shared it. I don't think it was anybody in the group, but I saw it online where they compared the Australian breakdancing to the Elaine Bennis dancing on Seinfeld. Which, if you watch Seinfeld, you know how terrible that is. So
I was assuming it was something good, not something bad.
I'll bet Rick could breakdance, though. I'll tell you that much. Well, no, Rick's not from the Australia. He's from the UK. Sorry.
Wow. Dex
I'll
is
bet George. I'll
Dex-
bet George can breakdance.
Dex is Australian, and he's in the chat right now, and I can't believe you just did that.
No, I'll bet Dex. I didn't know Dex from Australia.
Yeah. Apparently he's gonna send me the video, so my phone should be going off any second. Shout out to Sweet Mama D, who is gonna spend the entire week with me because I'm on vacation. There it is. Shout out to the goddess, who is currently waiting to make me a chicken parm dinner. Twerp you to Matt, who still won't go to Shady Maple with us.
Why twerp you
do
to
it.
Matt? None of us are going to Shady Maple.
Don't do it. It's a trap.
Well, Alex, if you...
okay, no. So, all right.
Oh, here we
Put
go.
us fucking out there. Yesterday, I got a video call from Tricky, and I
No.
pick it up.
Hold on. It wasn't from me. It was from the goddess.
Shut up. It was from you. Because then I pick it up, and who's on the other end? The goddess. And I'm like, you're not Tricky. And she goes, I hear you don't want to go to Shady Maple. I instantly hung up.
He did.
Then they called me back and said, Tricky's trying to defend me, saying, oh, Matt wouldn't have hung up on you. She's like, you hung up on me? I go, absolutely hung up on you.
See, I had your back, Matt.
Don't need my back. I don't answer to her.
Oh, my lord. Apparently, Dex is still sending me messages. All right, so we're gonna move on. Shout out to all the listeners. Shout out to everybody that was in the chat. V, Dex. Dex needs to get his ass back in the division and stop playing Skyrim. If he keeps playing Skyrim, I'm gonna shoot him in the knee with an arrow. What, Alex? What?
An arrow? You can't shoot a bow and arrow.
You don't know the meme? I was gonna go to war, but I took an arrow to the knee.
No, I don't know.
It's a classic Skyrim meme. And I don't even play the game, and I know that.
Okay, well, I don't play the game, nor do I know the meme, but I'm educated now.
That's for Dex.
He says he's educated now.
You don't
He
need to
says
speak
smarter.
for. You don't need to speak for Dex. Dex can speak for Dex.
Oh, I'm sorry. V's correcting me in the chat right now. It says, I used to be an adventurer like you, but until I took an arrow to the knee.
There you go.
No, guess like you don't know shit, Tricky.
If there's nothing else, until next week, happy trophy hunting.
See ya.
Later.